Hi, my name is Drew, and if we haven't met before, welcome to ReadyBudgetGo. If it's not your first visit, welcome back. I'm glad you're here either way. It is the middle of July, and 2026 keeps barreling along, so it's already time to do the August budget. I haven't done any prep work for this exercise, so the numbers that go into these worksheets are going to be as much of a surprise to me as they are to you. But I've got my fidget pen here, I've got my whiteout, and I have got my trusty calculator, Irma. That's Irma Gerd, if you haven't met her. So let's jump into it and see what shakes out. In order to determine what numbers to put in my August budget, I need to look at some other sources of information. So the first thing I'm going to do is go and gather those up. So we'll set Irma to the side here. And she got a bit of a glow up this week. I actually remembered to clean her screen off for once. I haven't done that since I got her. Okay, and I found Irma at a thrift store in Issaquah, Washington about 2 years ago. And she's been with me ever since. So I need to look at this month's budget, the current month's budget, because that gives me the most current figures for what I'm planning for my bills and whatnot. I also need to look at the year ago budget for this period. So let's see where that is. August 2025, there we go. So I pull everything out because after I put together my current year budget for this month, these sheets don't go back into the book. Only the August 2026 budget does. So I pull all of those out. And then where I leave the book open is on my bills and spending tab down here. So these are monthly subscriptions. These come out each and every month, and this is factored into my bills section already, so I don't really need to look at this. But I need to look at the yearly subscription tracker to see if there's anything coming up in August. And it looks like I have 2 subscription renewals. I have Instacart Plus and Costco, but I indicated that I was going to cancel those, and in fact, I already have canceled. Well, I canceled Instacart. Costco doesn't know I'm not going to renew yet, but Costco, if you're watching, see ya. So nothing else for this month and nothing else until November. So I'm good here. I don't need to pull this out. If I had something in here that was for the current month, I would pull this out just to make sure that I remembered to put it in my budget. But since I don't, I will just leave it in here. And then also my non-monthly recurring expenses. So I get prescriptions every quarter, haircuts, and then my transit. So prescriptions, now I'm on an FSA, so that is covered. Essentially, those prescriptions have already been paid for. Haircut, I just got in July, so I shouldn't need another one in August. The next haircut will be in September. And then transit, I have that budgeted for July, so I will already remember to have that in August. So don't need to pull that aside, and I can set aside the book for the time being. So let me do that. And then let's take a look here at what happened last year. Okay, so as you can see, comparing August of 2025 and July of 2026, I have trimmed up these bills by about half. But I still need to look through and see if there was anything that I had in August of last year that I need to plan for this year. Ooh, okay. So there was a Microsoft 365 subscription that came out, but I believe I canceled that. I believe I did. Let me go into my notes here, because if that subscription bit me out of nowhere, then I would have planned for it. I also haven't received a notification from Microsoft that I have anything renewing. It's not in here. I did redo this sheet a few months ago just because things were changing, so I think I'm okay there. If I do end up paying that, that will be a business expense. I won't put it in personal, but we'll see what happens. So doctor bill, no, because again, I have an FSA. Haircut, I just got that in July. No Instacart Plus, and then Orca is transit. So I'm good here. But let's also look at the summary page for August. Okay. So I'm just reading here my notes from last year this month. Reduce weekly cash allowance, move Letterbox to separate fund. Okay, I don't do Letterbox anymore, so I don't need to worry about that. Big move savings rate must accelerate. Well, I'm beyond the big move, so I don't need to worry about that. Okay, and then I noted here that I started those memberships last year and I'm not renewing them, so we're good there. Okay, so these sheets I am no longer going to look at. I will shred those. But let's use this as a reference and let's start filling out the current month's worksheets. So the first one that I start with is the budget overview. Now, normally I would do this in erasable ink, but I have decided that I'm going to do this in permanent ink. If I make mistakes, I will just use the whiteout tape. Okay, so we're planning for August of 2026. Income, we have paycheck 1, paycheck 2, and cell phone reimbursement. Cell phone reimbursement is $100 a month. I get that from my employer. Now, paycheck 1 and paycheck 2, in July, I had budgeted $3,118 each. That amount went down. And the reason it went down is because I contributed more to my 401k. And because I'm contributing more, that takes more out of my paycheck. So this should be the new amount of my paychecks through the end of the year. So that's going to be $2,655. I do have a bonus coming at some point. I don't know when. It might be paycheck 2 in July. It might be sometime in August. I don't know. I never budget for those because I don't know how much they're going to be and I don't know when they're going to be. I also don't know how much is going to get taken out for taxes, how much is going to go to my retirement, things like that. So when those happen, I just treat them as a windfall and put them toward whatever goal that I'm working on at the time. I will talk about my goals here shortly. So I need to total this up to see what my new monthly income is because it keeps dropping. It dropped when I moved to Ohio because I have to pay state and local income tax here, although I no longer have to pay the Washington state payroll taxes. And then it dropped again because of the 401k switch. So let's do 2655 twice and 100. So we're at 5,410. So significantly less than what I had to work with last month when it was almost $1,000 more. But I knew that was coming. It was deliberate. I did it to myself, so no regrets there. Also, the higher contributions to my 401k are aligned with one of my goals. And like I say, I'll talk about that in a minute. So rent and utilities, I am going to plan the same that I planned this month. I'm a little frustrated. Let me finish writing this in here. Utilities is always such a weird word to write because of all the I's and T's. So in June, I received a notice from my property management that they were going to stop billing us separately for utilities, which is in this area, electric, water, and sewer. Trash is already folded into the rent. We don't pay natural gas. We don't pay pest control or anything like that. So they said that was going to be effective July 1st. Well, July 1st came and they didn't send me the bill. So I asked about it and they said, oh yeah, I'll have to look into it. Nobody really knew anything. Okay, so here we are. It's the middle of July. I haven't received a paper bill for the utilities, which is what I was getting previously, and they haven't billed it to the portal. So I really don't know what's going on. I got another notice that said that starting August 1st, they were going to change the allocation from individual electric billing to a shared billing that is then going to be divided per square foot and distributed among all the residents. So I don't really know how that's going to work. Any incentive that I had to conserve power is gone. I mean, I pretty much leave my lights on all the time, all day long now, because why turn them off? And they're LED lights besides, so they don't consume all that much electricity, but still. Anyway, so I don't really know what's going on with that. I'm going to budget $1,850 again, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, I have no idea what that bill's going to be. So iCloud comes out every month on the 2nd. That'll be $3. YouTube Premium on about the 6th. Sometimes it's the 6th, sometimes it's the 10th, and anywhere in between. for $18. Gosh, it's so expensive. Spectrum on the 22nd. That is my home internet. For $50. Visible on the 24th for $35. That is my cell phone plan. I didn't put any money on my RTA card this month, but I will put it in for next month. Or I should say I haven't put any on my card this month, but I may need it next month, so I'll do the same 25. If I don't use it, that's fine. And I'm not getting a haircut again. That was a July bill, and I don't get a haircut every month. Okay, so let's go over here to wallet. Now, I had recently cut my, oh, sorry, I need to total this first. Goodness, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so 1850 plus 3 plus 18 plus 50 plus 35 plus 25, $1,981 in bills. Okay, so wallet spend, as I was saying, I had reduced this to $200. I'm struggling to stay within the $200, and the reason is because I am so busy at work right now, I don't have time to cook. I love cooking. I made fried chicken last week, and it was great, but it took an hour, including all the prep time. So I just don't have that kind of time anymore. I'm going to explore some of those deliver to your home meal places like Factor or Cook Unity or something like that. So I'm going to increase this budget again back to $250 a week because I don't know what that's going to cost. And this is going to be by Friday in August. So because July 31st is a Friday, the first Friday in August is the 7th, then the 14th, 21st, 28th. So at $250 a week, I'm going to end up with the same amount, and that'll be $1,000. Okay. Stockpiles, which are my sinking funds, those get $100 a week, and that goes by Tuesday. No, I'm sorry, that goes by Monday. So Friday is the 7th, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so Monday is the 3rd. So that means there's going to be 5 of them in August at $100 a pop. And so that'll be $500. And I'm going to start filling in these numbers down here because I'm going to need to do some subtraction here pretty quick. So because I'm throwing so much money at my 401k, that doesn't leave me as much for my other goals. So let's first figure out how much I have left here, because I also leave a remainder every month because you just never know. So 5410 minus 1981 minus 1000 minus 500. So 1,929. And that I do by the Tuesday that is in the month. So that is going to be the 4th, the 11th, the 18th, and the 25th. So only 4 of those in August. So if I do 1,800, I apologize here, I need to bring this back into the screen. So 1,800 for the month, and I divide that by 4 weeks, that gets me $450 a week. I think that's reasonable. So 1,800 there, oops, 1,800 there. And we'll bring that number down here. So let's make sure I get the remainder right. So 5410, 1981, 1,000, 500, 1,800, $129 of a remainder. I have never subscribed to the idea that you need to give every single dollar in your budget a job. That stresses me out. And the reason is because what ends up happening, at least for me, is that I have to shuffle so much. Whereas if I leave it as a slush fund, yes, that money is unassigned and it could just disappear like a fart in the wind. But the reality is, if I put that into anything in this budget, I'm going to have to move it somewhere anyway because it's not going to be right. So that just gives me a little bit of a cushion and lowers the anxiety a little bit. Okay, so that is it for this page. Next up, and I don't need this anymore. Next up is the cash allocation. So we'll move this sheet over here. Okay, August 2026. And this is where I specify what goes where for all of this different spending. Now, I probably don't need to do the wallet spending anymore. I was doing it in the past when I was taking cash out of the bank every week or once a month and allocating it across every single week. I would have a certain amount for cash spending and the rest for credit card spending. But now all of this is pretty much on a credit card. I don't really use cash anymore. I understand people who prefer to use cash. There's nothing really wrong with that. For me, for a number of reasons, I prefer using credit cards. It's the security, the safety, the not having to constantly go to the bank, not having to carry all the change. So for me, the credit card's the way to go, but certainly cash is a viable way to go if that suits your needs. But anyway, all of this now is going to be card spending. So I'm going to do it here just for the sake of completeness. But like I say, I don't really need to do it. In the past, I would have had like card 200, cash 50 on down the page for each week. So we're going to say this is the 7th, the 14th, the 21st, the 28th, and it's going to be 250 each time. Okay, for a total of 1,000. And then stockpiles. So I should really rename this because this is not, I could say if I weren't randomizing into my stockpiles, then I would list all 12 of my stockpiles here. But really, this now is for savings and extra debt. So I'm going to cross this out and let's write in savings. And then I need to look at my list of goals and see what I'm going to be working on next. So to do that, I'm going to bring the book back out. The first page in my budget book is my goals for the year. So you can see I've completed this one, and this one, and this one. I am working on contributing the full $7,500 to my Roth IRA. That goal will be complete in July, so I don't need to worry about that for looking at August onward. I'm already working on contributing the full $24,500 to my 401k. That is payroll deduction only, so I can't just take extra money from my net earnings and shove it in there. Not only would it create a tax nightmare because my 401k I keep fully tax deferred rather than using a Roth 401k, but also my plan doesn't allow it, so it's not even an option. So that leaves goal 6, all sinking funds fully funded by end of year, and goal 8, stockpile $7,500 toward the 2027 Roth IRA. And I think what I'm going to do for August, I've been saying that I want to put it toward the 2027 Roth IRA, but the reality is I have plenty of time to do that. So what I'm going to do with this $1,800 is I am going to work on replenishing the sinking funds, the stockpiles. If you've been following me for a while, then you know that I took them all down to zero. And I've explained that in other videos. I won't go through that here. So I've had a wipeout. This is not my first time with the wipeout, and I feel okay with it. I mean, it was the decision that I made. I needed the money for reasons, and I could have taken it from a different pile, but I just decided to wipe out the sinking funds. So starting all over, and that's, again, that doesn't give me any anxiety or nerves or anything like that, because really, if the poo hits the fan, by this time in my budgeting life, I have money stashed in the blip fund. I have an emergency fund. So if I need to pay for something that's a surprise or unexpected or whatever, I can do that. So anyway, I don't know why I'm using so many words to say that what I'm going to use this $1,800 for is to fund my stockpiles. Part of the reason is because I have some big things that are going to be coming up, right? So I have a credit card annual fee that renews in like November. I have what else do I have? Well, Christmas. I did a lot of shopping during Prime Day, but I'm not done. So there's just other things that I want to make sure have a cushion. So that's what I'm going to do. I don't know exactly what those are yet, but I will put in here as soon as I change this from stockpiles to savings. Now I'm going to actually say it's stockpiles. So let's do this. And, since this is the budgeting exercise, I really do need to determine which ones are going to get what money. So let me take that binder out. So all of these are blank. All of these are still at zero because we're still in July. I haven't allocated or randomized the money into this just yet. One of the things that I was going to look at was when that Amazon Prime subscription renews. So let me take a look at that real quick here. Okay, so Amazon Prime doesn't renew until January. And the reason that I bring that up is because I'm not sure that I will renew it. So for now, I'm not going to put anything extra toward it because if Amazon Prime goes away, if I decide not to renew that, I need to replace it with something else. As it happens, I'm now using Amazon as my pharmacy, so I might have to renew Prime anyway and add another subscription for Walmart Plus or Sam's Club or Shipt or something because, I went into detail as to why I'm not happy with Amazon right now. And I need an alternative. So anyway, the upshot of all that is Amazon's not getting any more money. Okay, clothes and shoes, I'm okay there. Household, maybe. Entertainment and media, probably okay. Medical, I have the FSA, so that's okay. Technology might get some because I'm going to need a new phone eventually. I don't know exactly when, but the one that I have now no longer holds as much of a charge. So at minimum, I need to replace the battery. And I'm the kind of guy where if I'm going to replace the battery, I'm just going to upgrade the whole thing. Eyewear could use some funding. Gifts and special events could use funding. Okay, so now everybody needs money. Travel, maybe. Okay. Personal care, and then Bonanza. Well, we don't have another Bonanza coming up until Prime Day. Black Friday. So travel, I do have some of that coming up, even though those are business expenses. There may be personal attached to that. So credit card annual fees is going to get, I'm going to say 600. Because with that, oh, and I did that wrong because that's going to need 2 weeks. That is going to be week 1 and part of week 2. Okay. And then, of course, this tape doesn't want to apply. There we go. So that will be on the 4th. That's going to take 450. Goodness. I may need to print another one of these. This is why I usually use erasable ink. Let's see. Now, for some reason, it just doesn't like the paper or something. Well, and now I'm just going to fling it on the floor. Okay, so I think we'll just cross it out. Unedited, raw Drew here. Okay, so credit card annual fees. And now the pen doesn't want to write. On the 4th, 450. Also, on the 11th, because I wanted to get this 600, so that's another 150, but that leaves 300 more for the 11th. So where do I want that to go? Maybe to travel, maybe to gifts and special events. I think I'm going to put it in travel on the 11th for 300. And then also on the 18th for 450. And then goodness, I've lost my place here. Travel, annual fees, eyewear, gifts, and special events. Okay. Gifts, events. On the 25th, can have the other 450. Okay. So 450, 450, 450, 450. So that is 1800. Done. Goodness, that one took forever. Sorry about that, guys. But like I say, I did no prep work for this, so I'm just kind of planning as I go. Okay, up next is the monthly cash flow tracker. So let's work on that. And I really don't need to do much here. August 2026. Because I don't, this is like my check register, so I don't know the beginning balance yet, and of course I don't know the ending balance. So all I need to do is just set it up for the month and the year. Same thing with the expense tracker. August 2026. And then I will list transactions as they happen in the month. And then last but not least, see now things are moving real fast, is the month-end review. And all I'm doing here is filling in the month and the year and then the plan amounts, which are the same ones from here. So income, 5,410. Bills, 1,981. Wallet spending, 1,000. Stockpiles, 500. Savings, I'm going to leave it as savings because it'll be supplemental 1,800. Extra debt payment, I don't have any debt, so that's going to be a zip. And remainder of 129. Okay, so now all of these are ready to go for my budget binder, except I think it's my not wanting to waste paper and resources versus my need for everything to be pretty. And I think the resource conservation is going to win out. I think I'm going to be a good boy and not print out another one of those and just live with the ugliness. Because realistically, I very rarely look at this after the start of the month. It's really only when I'm trying to remember, okay, what was the plan here? I didn't look at it at all in July because I knew that every single penny that I was accumulating was going toward the Roth IRA, at least until the Roth IRA was fully funded, and then the rest of it is going into my business account. So, there was no reason to revisit it. With this plan, where I've got things going into 3 different places across 4 different weeks, then I probably will need to look back at it again in the future. But for now, that is August planned. So I am going to punch these down the side and get them into my disc planner. And then every week on Friday, I have a video come out called The Weekly Reel. And that is where I go over all of my income, all of my spending, all of my bills, the good, the bad, the ugly. It is raw and unvarnished, just like this video, meaning that it is the truth of what's happening with my money. So if you're interested in seeing how I do with this budget, please consider subscribing and come back every Friday for those videos. I also put out videos Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday that are saving videos. Monday is game night, and that all goes into my stockpiles. Tuesday and Wednesday are when I do the money toward these goals here. And on Tuesday, it is the Batman binder and the Celebration Savings book. On Wednesday, it is Friends Day Wednesday, where I play other people's games and other people's savings challenges. And then on Thursday, we have the Treasure Island Pirate Savings Collab. and the, what am I trying to say? The swipe and save. Goodness, I was going to say the credit card challenge. So that uses real cash, and I save that up for kind of whatever. Those are all longer term challenges though, so I don't have to know exactly what that money is going to go to right away. It gives me time to think about it and really decide if what I want to spend that money on is something that I really want to spend that money on. So thank you so much for tuning in and for watching all the way to the end. This is one of my longer Budget With Me videos, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up, drop a comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and until I see you in the next one, take care.